I'm fortunate to be the CEO of the Advocacy Alliance. It's my pleasure this morning to welcome you here. I am honestly overwhelmed by the attendance today. When we originally thought about doing this, we were hoping to provide information to or educate about 50 individuals, and today we're looking at over 125 individuals in this audience. So thank you so much for being part of our mission, which is partially to support the recovery of individuals who have a mental illness and to provide them culturally competent advocacy and services. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Pennsylvania Senator John Blake. More than John being a Pennsylvania senator, I thought, and our team agreed, that we wanted John here because of the type of man he is. He is truly, for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to meet and talk with him, he is a fine gentleman in the classic sense. He cares about people, and I know when John, he cares about our community, and he holds those folks that we serve and empower, individuals with mental illness, in the same regard as we do, in the same regard that we all should as a community. And that's why Senator Blake is here. So without further ado, Pennsylvania Senator John Blake.
Thank you, Alex, and ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure for me to be here. It's interesting that I have this invitation to address you because just within this past week, I actually did a tour of SCI Waymart. I also did a tour of Clark Summit State General Hospital. $60 million it cost for us to operate SCI Waymart. $40 million a year it cost to administer the Clark Summit State Hospital. And I think that everyone is here, and I need to commend everyone here for understanding that the interventions that relate to care and balance that obligation with respect to the incarceration of people with mental illness is what this is all about. So I want to commend the Advocacy Alliance, first of all, Alex, for his great leadership of a great organization. We are very fortunate to have these assets in our community that are so skilled in their delivery of care. I also want to commend the law enforcement community for their participation in this. Chief, congratulations to you for your effort here. I also want to express thanks to the Court of Common Pleas, our distinguished jurists that are involved in what I think is a systematic change regarding mental illness and corrections. A couple of things I want to share with you this morning, if I can. I'm going to go from the national level to the state level and then bring it closer to home. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, there are over 300,000 men and women in U.S. jails and prisons suffering from mental disorders, including serious illnesses, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depression. And the proportion of these prisoners is growing. It's increasing. At the state level, more than 1 in 6 inmates have mental health needs. The Department of Corrections has 2 community correction centers that work to try to provide a broad range of community reintegration services to mentally ill inmates. And mentally ill inmates are treated on an MHMR roster as well as a psychiatric review team roster. About 18% of the inmates in Pennsylvania right now are on those rosters. And I think what I want to make a connection for you today is the issue of my opening remarks about cost and the issue of the sensibility we have to have about mental illness and the issues that mentally ill citizens face with substantial disorders of thought and mood that impair judgment, behavior, the capacity to grasp reality, and cope with ordinary demands of life. It's our duty not only as elected officials, but as citizens to help those in need of our help and to ensure everyone is afforded the same opportunities to succeed and be a productive member of our society. Cases involving people with mental illness are special in nature. They require specialized attention, education, training that was previously not present in our system. And it's actually gratifying to be here today to know about the systematic change that's trying to be implemented here in my home county of Lackawanna. The county has been a state leader, I think everyone in this room knows, has been a state leader to ensure fair and balanced legal proceedings for people suffering from mental illness. It's a first-class operation, the mental health court that assures offenders that need treatment for mental illness receive it as early as possible and maximizes the chances for mentally ill individuals that enter the criminal justice system to become law-abiding citizens. It's, again, a world-class system, but we are looking for improvement, and that's what this is all about today. The Senate recently passed Senate Bill 397. It was Mary Jo White that sponsored it. It's now before House Judiciary Committee that would prohibit the imposition of the death penalty on persons with mental illness. The bill is in response to a Supreme Court ruling 2002, Atkins versus Virginia decision that held that executing an individual with mental retardation was unconstitutional. The Supreme Court left it to each state to implement that ruling. Under Senate Bill 397, the determination of a defendant's mental illness would have to be petitioned for and concluded pre-trial. That's the most extreme circumstance that we deal with at the state level. What we really have to deal with is on the front end of treatment and interventions and the appropriate skill level being brought to bear so that people can be avoided to be directed into the wrong path that isn't conducive to their recovery and their ability to be reintegrated into the community. There are numerous other bills circulating through the legislative process that would help people suffering from mental illness. House Bill 386, Representative Boyd, would create a tax credit for businesses that make contributions or provide services to nonprofit organizations that provide employment and social services to people with mental illness. Another bill, Senate Bill 185, by Senator Leanna Washington, currently in the Senate Judiciary Committee, would prohibit persons ordered to undergo involuntary mental health treatment on an outpatient basis from owning firearms. I think we understand the public safety and the personal safety issues relating to firearms. It is important that Lackawanna County and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania continue to invest in innovative programs that help those who are less fortunate and are dealing with challenges sometimes beyond our ability to comprehend. Fortunately, we have better science now. Fortunately, we have better education now. Fortunately, we have better training now, and we have great leadership in our law enforcement community and in our courts that will guarantee a better future. I'm delighted for the opportunity to address you. I commend you for your attention to this important issue, and I'm hopeful that the results of your actions will have less people suffering from mental illness in jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning. My name is Bo Hoban. I am the Deputy Director of the Advocacy and Community Mental Health Services at the Advocacy Alliance, and for today's purposes, I'll be facilitating the seminar. I just want to thank Senator Blake for his time here with us today and his sentiments shared. I really believe they set the tone for us as professionals in the work that lies ahead of all of us. Also, I want to echo the sentiments of Alex Azuri. We are elated about the turnout that we have here before us today. We are humbled by it and energized because of it, and never in our wildest dreams did we think that we would get the turnout that we have here today. So thank you all for coming in and sharing with us today. That being said, I just want to move into the program and offer some housekeeping notes and some operating principles. Bathrooms, men's and women, out the door by the vending machines. This one I'm sure you've all heard before. Please kindly silence all of your cell phones. Also, the topic areas and the topic matter that we're going to cover today may need further elaboration and conversation. So that being said, we hope this is the first of several educational opportunities for you, for our panelists, and for the Advocacy Alliance. We have some scribes that are planted within the audience, so there's going to be a distribution of the notes here today. Be sure that you sign the sign-in sheet and put a proper email address so we can get them to you. Also, there's going to be an opportunity for all of you to ask questions. In front of you today with your agendas are index cards. Please feel free to write any questions you may have on the index cards and place them in the green bags that we have strategically placed throughout the room here. After the break, we're going to go into the Q&A portion of today's seminar, and if you are so inclined, put your profession, put who of one of our panelists you would like your question directed to, and we'll make sure that, that we pose it to our panelists here. Also, there is a short evaluation form that you have with your packets here today. It's front and back, so be vigilant of that. Your feedback from today is very important to us. We want to improve upon our efforts, and we want to make this better moving forward. So please take the time at the end of the seminar today to fill out your evaluation form. Also, I just want to kind of set in context today and give an overview of it. Talk a little bit about the genesis behind today, how we got here. More and more, we at the Advocacy Alliance receive calls, whether it be from individuals with a mental illness at our recovery center, from their family members, from professionals in the field, staff at residential facilities. And the calls are pertaining more and more to the criminal justice system. So we thought, knowing the community resources that we have in Lackawanna County, what better way to answer and address some of those questions than to hold a structured seminar like today. And again, based on the turnout, it seems like that sentiment is shared amongst all of you. So that's kind of the genesis behind how we arrived here today. And just to offer kind of a working philosophy of the day, we're here to advance our knowledge. And we're here to develop our competencies. And by doing so, as individuals who have a mental illness, as family members, as professionals in the field across two systems, mental health and criminal justice, we foster our future success in our work, in our living, in our leadership, and in our service to others. So as we empower ourselves with this kind of knowledge that we're going to learn here today, we ultimately empower those that we strive to serve. I offer that just as a working philosophy of the day and something to kind of keep in the back of your mind as we hear from our distinguished panelists, which we're very fortunate to have. I'm going to briefly review the remaining agenda items. I'm going to introduce our panelists, and then we'll roll right into our program. After an introduction of the panelists, as you see from your agendas, we're going to hear from our justice panel. We broke it out into two panels. We have our justice panel and our resource panel. Justice panel will offer some of their roles and responsibilities as they interact with and interface and communicate with individuals who have a mental illness. Once we go through that, we're going to have a presentation by Chief Duffy and Ray Hayes about the Scranton Area Crisis Intervention Team. That will be followed by a presentation about Lackawanna County's Mental Health Board by Judge Vito Girallo. We're going to take a quick break after the presentations, come back at 10:30, and then we're going to begin the Q&A portion of the day. And that hopefully will take us to 12 o'clock. So that's a brief overview of the day. Just to get into who our panelists are and how profoundly thankful we are to have them here with us today. Starting to my left in the Justice panel, from the City of Scranton, Scranton's Police Chief Dan Duffy. We have from Lackawanna County's Public Defender's Office, Assistant Public Defender Kathy Tully. From the Scranton Area Crisis Intervention Team Board President Ray Hayes. Ray was also the former Public Safety Director for the City of Scranton. From the Lackawanna County District Attorney's Office, we have Mark Giannotti. He's an Assistant District Attorney. From Lackawanna County Court of Common Pleas, we have Judge Vito P. Girallo. And from Lackawanna County Adult Probation Officer Ken Kai. To my right is our resource panel. We have Carl Mosier. Carl is a certified peer specialist and an adult mental health advocate at the Advocacy Alliance. We have Sal Santoli, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Scranton Counseling Center. Ernie Laskowski joins us from Northwestern Human Services. Ernie is the Director of Crisis Services. We have Denny Russo, who's the Director of Forensic Services at Scranton Counseling Center. And finally, we have Jessica Spangenberg. Jessica is a treatment specialist at Drug and Alcohol Treatment Services, DATS, and I believe the court-appointed treatment specialist to the problem-solving courts of Lackawanna County. So thank you all, and please join me in welcoming our panelists.